update about APIP, but this meeting is really about you all, what we can do together to really combat the worst effects of invasive species. I'm the terrestrial invasive species manager with APIP, so my role is more with the plants and forest pest side. But I think we've got a room of really capable, really engaged people. So I'm really excited to do a round of intros, hear updates from you, and then talk about how we could work together. Um, but yeah, lower elevations. I'm glad like we're warmer while we're having this discussion today versus being up top of the gondola here at Whiteface. So I'll start. That's my introduction. I want to be quick to give you all more time to talk. So I'm Terrestrial Invasive Species Manager and wanted to give a shout out to the APIP team, staff and seasonal crew from the 2025 field season. So I'll give the team a quick chance to introduce themselves. Thank you all for being here today with the APIP team.
I'll jump in first. Hey everyone, this is Brian Green, the program director for APIP. Hope everyone is out enjoying the snow. I know I've been doing a ton of Nordic skiing, but we're excited to be thinking about the upcoming field season, and we're excited to hear what needs or projects or things you have in mind for 2026. So thanks for joining and sharing with us.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean Kittle. I'm the communications manager with the Adirondack Park Invasive Plant Program. I've been here about 3 years. I guess it'll be going on 4 years in May. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited to hear what you've all been up to. And yeah, just to hear all about it. Thanks.
Jump in next. Hi, everyone. Carolyn Kestner, Conservation and GIS Analyst for APIP. I do a lot of behind the scenes support of data for all of these projects, so I'm excited to support another great field season this year.
And good morning. My name is Anna Hardiman, and I'm the Aquatic Invasive Species Manager at APIP. I'm glad to be here today with many of you and looking forward to seeing several of you tomorrow in the Aquatic Roundtable meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much to the APIP team. Definitely, like from here on out, these APIP updates would not be possible without all of them. Privileged to work with you all, and great to have Anna join the team in 2025. Yeah. And Rebecca Tamano, I'll introduce the terrestrial crew from 2025. Rebecca was back for her fourth season as campground steward. Rhoda really hit the ground running for her first year as assistant, and we worked with the contract crew from Invasive Plant Control. They came up from Tennessee and worked for 10 weeks. So a lot of our annual report encapsulates the work that that team did, as well as partners. So if you go to the appendix of the annual report, that's live on our website now. There's a lot of interesting data to look at in terms of where our in-house management and surveys for like priority sites. So that's what this graph here is. It's separated into different species. And I really wanted to highlight in particular that brown section, the sites that we weren't able to visit this year. So in our process of prioritizing species like Phragmites and knotweed, we look at proximity to things like wetlands, environmental factors, public lands, with things like hogweed, human health certainly factors into it. But most of these species, especially in this tier 4 that are widespread across the entire Adirondack region, there's too many to be able to set foot and be able to manage all. So that's where, even with those sites that are deemed high priority, that's still, we're having success, certainly, in this locally eradicated management underway category, to the tune of over half of our sites, no plants, even with historic presence. About 1 in 5 we're currently managing. So this is where the work's being done, currently underway, I would say. But where we are finding plants, but maybe don't have permissions to do treatments to facilitate control, or these sites where we're not able to set foot, in part just to do the 6 million plus acre geography of our region. So I'm really proud of this annual report, and I think this graphic is hopefully helpful in terms of showing some of these bigger picture, like we're managing a lot of sites and it's not an effort that we can do alone. But we are certainly having success. So I think the partnerships that we have are incredibly important. And privileged to do this together with you all to find these emerging populations when they're small, even of widespread plants. I think that's one of APIP's great legacies over our 2+ decades of invasives control. And I'm excited to continue that forward with you all. But in addition to Tier 4 species, our annual report certainly goes into our emerging. So I want to quickly talk about emerging clonal trees like Tree of Heaven and Japanese stiltgrass. You can see in these distribution maps, it's mostly in the southern Adirondacks right now. But I definitely want to keep both surveying to find the full extent of these populations on the ground, and then employ containment and proper control strategies to keep them at bay from spreading to the rest of the region. And it's actually controlled in these local sites. So selfishly, from where I sit at APIPP, and I think what would benefit the region at large is certainly coordination with these species in particular, Tree of Heaven and Japanese stiltgrass. And you can read in our annual report, we do have a lot of existing projects with both of these. So yes, as I mentioned in most of these meetings, you'll hear me talk more in the future about Tree of Heaven and Japanese stiltgrass, and maybe even we'll discuss more in this meeting. With forest pest projects, we're going into our second year of emerald ash borer biocontrol surveillance to see if the ones released in 2023 and 2024 establish. So I'm really excited at the promise that that project shows. And we're also doing a lot of forest pest surveys throughout the region to track delineation and damage. Forest pests are certainly spreading throughout the region. And I think it's something that we are going to learn to live with in the landscape versus eradicate or stop in its tracks. But there's a lot of exciting projects that really give me hope, even among the spread of these disruptive species. Initiatives like the Lingering Trees Project to try to find trees that have genetic resistance and breed them out. And this isn't theoretical. This is being done at scale. I think it's important to track changes to the overall forest composition in the presence of these forest pests and over canopy tree mortality. And just general forest health practices, I think, are more important now than ever in terms of mitigating the impacts of deer and understory invasives. So that's really a bit about what I've been reporting at APIPP. And this time of year, I'm sort of wrapping up reporting, exciting to share our analysis and reports with you, and then work together to have a productive and safe 2026 field season. So this might be working together on rights of way, survey and control, private property permissions, rare plant protection on alpine summits, events, coordinating emerging forest pest surveys. And also in our annual report, I think we do a great job of highlighting a lot of the partnerships that really amplify our impact if we're all working together. So thank you all for reporting to IMAP Invasives, co-hosting work days. Truly, it's an honor to work with you all. Forest Pest Hunters is ongoing, so you can look at our website for Forest Pest Hunters Citizen Science Program. I'll let some Forest Pest Hunters give updates on this, but that's something where you can get involved in the Adirondacks looking for hemlock willy adelgid from now through early April. And I'm happy to keep talking more, but the big part of this roundtable meeting is a chance to you all to talk. So my thought is to do a quick round of introductions for everyone that wants to introduce themselves. And then we'll sort of go and do updates starting by agencies, like statewide agencies, and then organizations. And if anybody wants to join the conversation, really looking forward to having a discussion about how we can work together. So here is a list of the state partners. And I apologize, I'm sort of flying blind in that I can't see everyone. So if anyone from the Adirondack Park Agency wants to come off mute, say hi, feel free.
Hey, good morning. This is Aaron Zeman from the Adirondack Park Agency, where I'm the project analyst for forest resources and also for freshwater resources. Much of our work around invasive species work involves permitting aspects of things. So that's where you might run into us if you need a permit. But I'll just leave it there. good to see everybody and excited to hear what everybody has to say today.
Good seeing you. Thanks for joining today. Who do we have from the DEC?
I'm here today, Keith Caro. I'm the forester land manager out of Raybrook. I'm the only one out of this office that has the applicator license, so I'm working across several different areas when I'm actually applying, working on getting some work plans approved in order to actually apply chemical, but we're also working with the Adirondack Rail Trail Association on the rail trail to get certain infestations of garlic mustard in particular pulled. So we're working our way into actually getting some chemical out there to get some of the stuff taken care of.
Good seeing you. Yeah. I'm looking forward to working with you on some of those projects, for sure. Are there other DEC folks?
Yeah, Keiko Klinsky here. Ari, how you doing? So I'm the Lake George Wild Forest Manager as well as Santanoni, and so I've spent some time working on some terrestrial invasives that we have up in Santanoni. Ari and I have been looking at them together, so hoping to get out in the field to look at some more this year, and then we're obviously tackling the hemlock woolly adelgid issue around the Lake George Wild Forest and the watershed there.
Good seeing you. I want to skip over any DEC, other DEC people. I think Bell was here with DOT.
Yeah, hi. This is Bell Irwin. I'm here with the New York State Department of Transportation. I work in the Office of Environment Landscape Architecture Bureau as an assistant landscape architect. I was asked by my colleague Mark Jakubiak to handle the report out today and updates. Some of the things that we do here at the New York State Department of Transportation include invasive monitoring, removal efforts, best management practices, training and guidance, and different invasive research, as well as pollinator initiatives. So I look forward to giving you all those updates today, and it's great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Anybody else from DOT want to introduce themselves?
Yeah, my name is Steve Slowinski. I work out of the Region 7 DOT out of Watertown. This is one of my first meetings with Adirondack PRISM, so I'm here kind of listen on, see everything that's going on in the area, and nice to meet everybody.
Thank you for joining us. I think you probably win the snowfall totals for overnight in Watertown. Goodness.
Hello.
New York State. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is Adam Blue. I'm also with the DOT. I work with Steve in Watertown. Thank you.
Morning, Adam. I saw some folks had registered from the New York Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Office. But they might be tied up. Tom had registered. Do I see him? With the Department of Agriculture and Markets. How about IMAP Invasive speak?
Hey, morning, Ari. Are you able to hear me all right?
Yep.
Great. Morning, everyone. This is Douglas Knopf with the New York Natural Heritage Program's Invasive Species Database Team, aka the IMAP Invasives team. Just a few quick updates. We are currently in the midst of our statewide annual Hemlock Woolly Adelgid Winter Mapping Challenge, which is running now through mid-March, March 15th. So all Hemlock Woolly Adelgid present and not detected records that are submitted to IMAP Invasives are automatically entered into that challenge. You can find more info on our website, nyimapinvasives.org/HWA, or there'll be a link directly on our website's homepage as well. Our IMAP monthly webinar series is going to be starting back up in February. So on February 25th at 1 p.m., we have a webinar on how we leverage data from the iNaturalist database and collaborate with them. So tune in for that. Some people may be aware that there's currently an issue with our IMAP Invasives mobile app. So it is currently not available on the Android store. So if you have a Samsung phone or a Google phone, you're currently unable to download the mobile app. We do have an update in the works for this, and it should be resolved within the coming weeks. And in the meantime, if you want to survey for invasive species and submit the data to IMAP, we suggest using one of our alternative tools like the Survey 123 form, or surveying with somebody who already has the app downloaded. We have a seasonal job posting up right now for an invasive species data assistant. If you want more information on that, you can go to nynhp.org/employment. And one final note, we are currently working closely with the Department of Environmental Conservation to transition the hosting of the IMAP invasive software from NatureServe to a new partner at Cornell. This should be a pretty smooth transition for all people that are using IMAP invasives. You won't notice any significant disruption to services, but this will be going on in the background over the next few months. So stay tuned for updates from us about that progress, or if anything is needed on our users' end for that. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. And as always, thank you to the help from the IMAP team.
Hey, could I give a quick intro? I'm also at the Heritage Program. So I just started. So I'm popping in, checking in on what's going on with PRISMs and seeing all the cool work you folks do. I'm a quantitative ecologist. My name's Jeremy Collings. I was hired to work with the data that the Heritage Program has, as well as data that potentially partners collect to try to quantify invasive species impacts. So I'm still new to the job, but trying to get out there, introduce myself to folks, and also give a pitch for if you folks have any cool data laying around, or you folks have any particular questions you've been really itching to figure out, and you're looking for someone to think through some cool, creative, quantitative ways to try to get a grip on what actually these invasive species are doing in your systems, then I'm gonna drop my email. But great to meet everyone. I'm always really impressed to see all the cool work that folks are doing.
Yeah, very nice meeting you. Look forward to working with you, and congrats on the new role.
All right, I think you're muted.
Shoot, I'm sorry. I was just saying, I think I was going to move on unless I missed anybody from these groups, because we've got a lot of incredible people in the room that are affiliated with other organizations. Like, wasn't Anne in here? Adirondack Garden Club?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
I'm Ann Budd, Nancy Budd from the Adirondack Garden Club, and we've been working in collaboration with Champlain Area Trails on an ecological restoration project at the Essex Quarry Nature Preserve. We've been removing invasives, mostly woody plants, including buckthorn, honeysuckle, and bittersweet, and other things.
Thank you for all the work you're doing, and for joining us today. I saw in someone's email, someone here from the Adirondack Landowners Association?
That would be I, Ari. It's Jim Townsend. Thank you. And thanks for having us along for all these periodic meetings. The landowners, of course, are very concerned about any degradation in the land that they take care of and try to enjoy. So keeping up with all your great work I'm happy to be a conduit between our larger landowners and the PRISM.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Jim. Thank you for what you do. A lot of these invasive species, they don't really care whose land they're on. So yeah, it's all important.
That's right. Yeah. They can't read maps.
I see Carrie Ann from Osable Freshwater Center. Hey.
Hey Ari, thanks for the opportunity to meet up with everyone today. I wasn't able to change my name, but this is Carrie Persian and Liz Metzger from Osable Freshwater Center, based out of Wilmington and Lake Placid, and we're representing the Biodiverse Habitats program at the organization.
Good seeing you this morning. Peter, maybe some cats. Maybe Peter isn't here from cats, but they have a new conservation associate with the Champlain area trails. So walk them on everybody's radar. Brittany here, Clinton County.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Bashaw. I'm a technician for our Clinton County Soil and Water Conservation District. We kind of do a wide variety of monitoring and implementation of best management practices throughout the county. Recently, I've been honing in on our emerald ash borer trapping. We've been doing trapping throughout the county since 2020, so hoping to continue that this year as well. And kind of just here to let everybody know that we are here to help if you have any questions or if you need help with technical assistance within the county. We are able to go out and help you figure something out or send data back to you kind of situation. So yeah, good to be here. Thanks for good seeing everybody.
Yeah, thank you for joining. I think we highlighted or already highlighted in the maps. Thank you so much for your partnership with that emerald ash borer trapping. It's bittersweet news to see it spreading, but really important data points that you and your team got this summer for sure. Thank you. Somebody's here from Essex County Soil Water Conservation District, I think.
Hello. This is Noah Weber from Essex County Soil and Water. Like Brittany said, we're serving same type of function for our communities and trying to work with landowners, farmers, and look at some of the rivers and streams around our area and see what we can do with certain species, and happy to help out however we can. And personally have adopted a couple, 2 trails near Westport for HWA monitoring with my kids. I'm looking forward to getting out with them. So thank you very much for all the work everybody here is doing.
Right back at you, Noah. Thank you for joining. To the next page. Hamilton County Soil Water Conservation. They might be shoveling snow. I think they're like in the serious snow belt. But the meeting is being recorded. Someone signed up from the Lake Clear Association?
Yes, Emily Tyner, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm the environmental chair for Lake Clear Association, and as you know, we were working with you suddenly on the rail trail last June, removing garlic, mustard, and narrow leaf bitter cress. And we're happy that you and ARTA and DEC will be helping us in a more organized fashion this year to survey and manage those species in the Lake Clear area. And we're being very extensive this year, going all the way from Route 30 near Lake Clear to Floodwood Road. And really appreciate your help and DEC's and ARTA's help on all that. Thank you.
Thank you, and for what your organization does. For sure, I look forward to continuing to work on that project with you. What a great example of early detection, rapid response.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it. Had someone signed up maybe for both forest pest hunters in this meeting from North Country Community College? Well, I'm going to email you with trail advice. But Doug Johnson around with Rick? No, I don't see him here. Several folks had ESF, the School of Environmental Science and Forestry, in their email if anyone wanted to say hello.
Yeah, hi, I'm Natasha Kerniski-Keglovitz from the Adirondack Ecological Center. So we're in Newcomb, part of ESF, but up in the Adirondacks. We're here because we're always interested in, staying up to date on the latest news. We're also always open to research and management initiatives and opportunities. So we're happy to be here.
Happy to have you, for sure. And is Teresa here with Warren County?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm Teresa Hagis. I'm the district technician at Warren County Soil and Water. Warren County is actually split between APIPP territory and PRISM territory, so we work with both agencies pretty closely. But we provide technical assistance to municipalities, schools, landowners, and other organizations for invasive species monitoring and management.
Good seeing you this morning, and good working with you as always. And yes, certainly it's like a lot of these emerging species are right at the edges of our prisms, these different regions. So Capital Region and APIPP, us, Warren County is right in half. And Washington County is sort of that way too. I'm not sure that any of them, like if Ashley is able to join today. But yeah, thank you to all of our county soil water conservation districts. Did I miss anyone that wants to rep an organization? And also just open it up to, oh, Ev, good seeing you.
Good morning. Calling in from Florida. Sorry, it's 75 down here right now, but we had some 20-degree weather the last few weeks, killed a lot of vegetation. Anyway, Ev McNeil, East Shore Schroon Lake Association. This year, we again supporting the Lake George HWA Coalition. We donated another $10,000 to their survey and treatment activities. And we're also helping with surveys along the edges of our Schroon Lake watershed. Let's see what else. Ari, we're going to set up a survey program for terrestrials. Several years ago, we had an aquatic survey team. We had actually about 25 scouts who each surveyed about half-mile of lakefront water. And we've been able to manage our aquatic invasives very well using that approach. We're going to try to do the same thing with terrestrials this year. The other thing we're working on in conjunction with our neighboring lake associations is trying to develop a program and maybe even legislation that can prevent damage from wake boats. We're really concerned about the impact of wake boats on our lake, both from stirring up the bottom, releasing chemicals, phosphate, and all that stuff into the lake, as well as introducing aquatic invasives into the lake in their holding tanks, which never get really pumped out. So that's what we have going on here.
Pretty incredible work. Thank you, as always.
Can I do a quick introduction too? Hello, this is Ian Gaddy from Embark Environmental. I just want to say this: we're a new business in the local area, working more with private landowners, but also non-for-profits to deal with HWA treatments, terrestrial invasives, and forest management, along with native plantings.
And then I'm Allison McKenna here from New York State Hemlock Initiative. I'm crew lead for Hemlock Initiative's management and survey of HWA in the Adirondacks.
Hi, Steve Young here, botanist on behalf of the Adirondack Botanical Society. And this coming field season, between us and the New York Flora Association, we'll be having 13 field trips and workshops around the Adirondacks. So if people want to learn more about the vegetation of the Adirondacks, so you know what you're preserving, come join us. And really want to thank everyone for all their work in preserving the native flora. You can just stay tuned to the websites of the New York Flora Association and the Adirondack Botanical Society for after they post those.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. I do need to make it to one of those. Thank you for all the work you do.
Hi, I'm Liz Reed. I'm with the Paradox Lake Association, and I'm on the board of directors and have been overseeing aquatic invasives for 15 years. And now we are watching the hemlock woolly adelgid in Lake Champlain. So we're starting to learn more about that and get more involved. So just sitting in to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you for joining. And definitely reach out. We'll look forward to working with you on projects like this, 100%.
Hello.
Hey, Ari. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Linda Page, St. Lawrence County Environmental Council. We're an advisory board to the St. Lawrence County Board of Legislators on environmental issues concerning the county. And we are sharing APIPP and SLILO PRISM, such a large landmass, and we're looking forward to beginning a working relationship with APIPP.
Thank you for joining. Good meeting you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ari. George Spack here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm a private pesticide contractor working with private clients in the Adirondacks. My biggest client is is LATS, the LATS Timber Company, lime timber, and working with them on different invasive. Basically, the foresters inform me of where there's invasives on their lands, and I go after those populations. But what's of immediate concern and probably the biggest challenge we're facing right now is the Japanese stiltgrass that's on our properties, particularly in the Lake George area, a Hague, and also the first population that we discovered 5 years ago over in South Corinth. So I'll be in touch with you about that, and got some information to share with you. So thank you, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for joining today, and definitely look forward to learning about how we can hone in on these best management practices, especially for tricky species with a propensity to spread, like Japanese stiltgrass. Good seeing you today. I hate to do it. I don't want to cut anybody off, but I do want to make sure that folks have a chance to give updates from the year. So that's what I'm thinking we should shift to. Make sure that folks give updates and then give ourselves like about a half hour plus for discussion. So I think that's probably the best move. A note, if you wanted to share contact information with people, I'm not going to share the RSVP list around, I don't think, but feel free to put, your email or any contact information you want to share with the group into the chat. And then that's a good way to get that around to people if you want. But what I was thinking of shifting to for the next portion of the meeting is giving just a quick round of updates, successes and challenges and goals for the coming year. So I sort of went through just like alphabetical order with the state level agencies. And then from there, we can do a similar breakout to anybody that wants to give updates. I'm really excited to hearing about successes and failures and struggles and goals, because I imagine we're all dealing with very similar things, and working together is the best way forward. Aaron, can you give some updates for the Adirondack Park Agency?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have much of an update to give today, except to say that I'm happy to be here and glad to be listening for all of your updates. So thank you very much.
Yeah, happy to have you. And I'll be in touch. We owe you guys a report that's pretty much ready to send. So I'll be following up with the APA soon. Um, yeah, if Keith or Kate wanted to give any updates with their respective roles, feel free.
I'll jump
I
in
don't
quick.
really. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
I really don't have any big updates right now, so go ahead.
Same here with me. I'm just getting back into the meetings for our Lake George coalition, so hopefully I'll have some more updates as we get rolling with those.
Yeah, 100%. And it's sort of like I touched on the forest pests. I think Kate, we're more in the crosshairs of the emerging forest pests, but certainly these species, like there's corridors that are vectors all over. So like working together and having the most eyes out, in terms of what this distribution is and then what we can do together. We'll certainly, as we're moving into the planning stage, going into the field season, look forward to setting some future meetings and honing in on plans of things that we do together.
Absolutely. That sounds great. I know a lot of the volunteers are really looking forward to more presence up at Santanoni.
Yes, that's right. Oh, that must have been a glorious cross country ski for those open houses they were doing out there. I've yet to make
Here's
it.
another one this weekend.
Very nice. But to move on, just so everybody can have time to give updates. Did we have folks from parks that wanted to give updates? How about the Department of Transportation?
Yeah, hi. So I will begin reading off what the notes I was given to you all. Um, so we here have been working with invasive monitoring and removal efforts. We've been continuing to monitor and treat invasive species at NISE.owned facilities and in our rights of way. Capital projects are surveyed for terrestrial invasive species in design. If terrestrial invasive plant species are found, they're treated or removed prior to the start of construction. We've been focusing on best management practices. Mowing practices in the Adirondack Park are typically limited to a single pass. This avoids rutting and scalping on sand slopes and limits exposed soils in the establishment of terrestrial invasives. Equipment cleaning has been done prior to arriving on site. If earthwork equipment becomes contaminated with invasive species on site, it is cleaned prior to moving to uncontaminated areas. We've been focusing on training and guidance. Tailgate trainings in 2025, we continued maintenance worker trainings on topics like ditching, mowing, best management practices, and invasive species identification. Herbicide trainings, annual herbicide applicator training for maintenance staff including terrestrial invasive species identification and treatment options, guidance for seeding and soil management in the Adirondack Park. Two guidance documents are in draft form. One is the Adirondack Seeding and Turf Establishment, and the second one is the Adirondack Soil Management. Regional staff are utilizing the concepts and seed mixes identified in these draft documents. Once issued, they will be appendices to the NISE guidelines for the Adirondack Park, also known as the Green Book. Invasive research funded through the State Planning and Research Program at Federal Highways. NISE has 4 ongoing invasive species research projects. Biological control of Phragmites australis is an active project. It is the 3rd phase of the research focus on obtaining USDA APHIS permits to release 2 biocontrol insects. I'm going to try to read this Latin. Arcanera Gemini puncta and Arcanara norica. Recently, the research team collected over 120 responses from agencies and NGOs, indicating overwhelming support for the release of biocontrol insects. Next, they plan on conducting biocontrol fieldwork in Canada. The research project is expected to conclude this fall of 2026. Funding awarded for 3 additional research projects. NISDOT is in the process of contract negotiations for the prime contract that will support these projects. eDNA for spotted lanternfly detection. This is continuation. This project builds on previous research and will investigate the lag time between an eDNA detection and the ability of field staff to identify spotted lanternfly in the field. This research will study movement of spotted lanternfly from major interstates to state or collector roads. The intent is to legitimize using eDNA as a detection tool and potentially develop into a method for implementing management decisions. Swallowwort biocontrol continuation builds on previous research project. This goal of this project is to further assess potential biocontrol agents to manage infestations of invasive pale and black swallowworts, Vince toxicum species, on state rights of way. This project will take a multifaceted approach to gain approval for and the release of 2 biocontrol agents while continuing to work on establishing Hypena opulenta in the field. Finally, knotweed biocontrol, a new research project. This project is to enhance research efforts to find suitable biocontrol insects to reduce populations and spread of target knotweeds, Japanese giant, and bohemian. Pollinator initiatives we have here at NISDOT. We've submitted an application to join the Monarch CCAA in May of 2024, and we received the certificate of inclusion in November of 2024. We're awaiting signature. Once enrolled, we will have 1 year to develop an implementation plan for conservation measures on approximately 7,800 acres of the right-of-way statewide. And currently, maintenance environmental staff are coordinating regarding implementation. And some highlights we've had for the past year of 2025. Facility screenings, monitoring, and treatment for invasives continued at our residencies and sub-residencies, including Alder Creek and Riceville facility in Region 2. Monitoring and/or treatment of invasives also occurred along the Remsen Lake Placid Trail corridor rail line. Biotic soil media with Proganics applications with the Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation District. Monitoring at the West Canada Creek with Proganics and native seed test area on Route 8 in town of Ohio of Herkimer County. NISDOT's 2025 annual report of projects and activities in the Adirondack Park will detail additional invasive species projects in the Adirondack and Catskill Park. This is expected to be completed this spring of 2026, and previous annual reports are on our website. One project and partnership example, High Peaks Rest Areas Pollinator Projects on I-87 in Region 1. Collaboration between NISDOT, Adirondack Action, and Adirondack Garden Club continued in 2025. Watering, maintenance, weeding, and the addition of new perennial plugs occur in the pollinator garden at the High Peaks Rest Area in 2025. That is all I have on the notes to report out. If you all have any questions, I'm going to send my email into the chat, and feel free to send those to me and I can get those updates to you. Thank you all, and I'll pass back to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that update. And I will definitely be in touch. It is a pleasure to coordinate with DOT on a bunch of these projects, including state and county rights of way, like that contract crew that we had a picture of this morning. Earlier today was like 74 different rights of way they covered. So it's definitely a team effort. It's great working with y'all. Thank you again for the update. Oh, sorry. I think earlier we established that Tom might not be here. Don't want to skip over him. We want to make sure everyone knows about the Department of Agriculture and Markets. I'll definitely cue him into the follow-up email that I'll be sending out. Thanks, Doug, for your update already from IMAP. You have anything else you want to add?
No, I hit on all the main points earlier. I got a bit ahead of myself. Sorry about that. But yeah, that was all of our updates for now.
Not a problem. Thank you again for all you do. You want to give updates in terms of what the Hemlock Initiative has been up to?
Yeah. So we have just been chugging away at our surveying work as much as we can in this weather. Though some of the areas that we've been trying to access with our snowshoes have been just a little bit too intense to get out to. Um, I I feel that if I could show a map, it might be helpful. Is that something that would be okay, or just briefly? Or should we? I can
No,
also
Yeah,
send that out.
you can share. Yeah, I think you should be
I'm
able
fine
to,
with
you
that.
should have the share feature available.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's easier to it's a little easier to show than tell where we've been
Yeah,
looking.
100%.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so here I have a map of the survey data that my crew has gathered over the last year and a half for Hemlock Woolly Adelgid. And the red dots represent trees that are infested with HWA, and the green represent trees that are surveyed but not infested with HWA. So you can see, unfortunately, we have been working in this upper half of the lake a bit the past several months, and unfortunately, we have been finding a good amount of HWA. So notably, one of my crew members found an infestation on Anthony's nose a few months ago. We surveyed this parcel across the lake, which we also found to have some infestations. And I do believe that this is now the northernmost point on Lake George, where we know HWA to be present. And then just last week, my crew surveyed this parcel right here, which is owned by Arcady Bay Homeowners Association. And unfortunately, we found some infested trees. Oh gosh, right in here as well. So that's kind of the skinny on what we're doing with our survey work right now. And then treatment-wise, we're not quite sure yet where we're going to be prioritizing for treatment in our upcoming spring season, but hopefully we'll have some answers on that pretty soon. And like Ev mentioned earlier, we did receive a very generous sum from ESLA, and we are going to be bringing on at least one seasonal technician to work with us on HWA, which is very exciting. We also do have some upcoming efforts to assess HWA winter mortality. So that'll be happening around the Lake George watershed. And then Hemlock Initiative in general is also doing some statewide Laricobius monitoring to check on how our little Laricobius biocontrol insects are establishing. So stay tuned for updates on all that. And yeah, as always, it's wonderful working with all of you on conservation projects in the Adirondacks. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that update. As I'm switching back between screens and whatnot, are you back on my slides? Yeah. Very cool. But yeah, thank you. And if that surveying sounds like a good time, there are plenty of opportunities to join the Forest Pest Hunters this winter to get out and help with those survey efforts. We highlighted some of these areas that Allison and her crews helped find, but also, I don't know, Bill's in here. You want to give a update about these? We've got the volunteer that got some of these points, so I feel bad talking about it when Bill's in here.
Oh no, no worries. It's yeah. Certainly, yeah, the one over on the left-hand screen there, that's at oh, it's part of the Sacandaga River area. That's actually on what's known as Stewart Pond Reservoir, which is the first little body of water down from the Conklinville Dam. And I've been poking around the shoreline of that thing for the last year and a half, and I this late fall early winter came up with some of the spots that you've got circled there, Ari. Um, so that, it just keeps on continuing to move down the shoreline. However, I was back out there last week, and further south of where that circled area is along the shoreline, I'm not finding anything further, and I've been around a good deal more of the shoreline and not finding anything. So, knock on wood, hopefully that's kind of dialed it in. The the other area that you mentioned over on the north part of Lake George and the other slide on the right that's circled, I was out with Allie and Ben when we came across that area. And I've been back there. I was back there last week, looking a little bit further north, not much of where that area is. It's just outside on the northern edge or of the what's known as a primary hemlock area there that we've established through the Lake George Hemlock Coalition. I'm finding a little bit more, but just trying to delineate that area and maybe work a bit further north. Going north from there, I'm not finding much, but there's still a lot more to look at. And yeah, that's kind of it. Just continue to peck away at things, and I feel like I'm a hired gun. I'll have gun will travel or whatever, have headlamp will travel, whatever anybody, if there's any thoughts on spots to look, I'm happy to go. But I'm also, I'll be out with Allie and Ben again tomorrow and with the New York State Hemlock group and continuing on. So that's about it.
Well, thank you as always. And yeah, these are incredibly important work to be doing. Hopefully it's a fun, safe time out there. I've been more spreadsheets than hiking in the woods. So I really appreciate your efforts, and these data points from you and the Forest Pest Hunter group are so appreciated. Knowing where these forest pests are really helps us wrap our mind around the issue and take the best step moving forward. I'll give a shout out to like the Hadlock Pond folks. They reported HWA and IMAP yesterday. So, these maps, like Sacandaga, we're talking significantly west of Lake George, but southeast of Lake George, we're finding HWA too. So I think the efforts in terms of management are very important in terms of slowing the spread and preserving like how prioritizing trees. But certainly it's bittersweet to see these distribution maps start to fill in with forest pests like HWA. In terms of like if you want to be a hired gun too, our Adopt a Trail map is live on our Forest Pest Hunter page, and that is a great way that Carolyn and I work together to really highlight these priority areas where we're most keen and it's most likely to be found next. So thanks again for everybody for being a part of that effort.
Harry, this is a quick question. Do we have any, is it possible to predict HWA mortality with this cold winter or is it too early?
The preliminary data is heartening. Adirondack Forest Pest Hunter actually went out, I believe it was this past week, and his numbers were in the high 90s. And this is definitely a statewide winter mortality effort. My understanding, and Allison will know even more than I, but it's these cold snaps later in the spring that tend to really contribute to significant mortality, but preliminary data looks good.
Good.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was sort of the end of our like state agency updates. But I want to give everybody a chance to give updates too. So if anyone, has like personal successes or struggles or goals or organizations that haven't gotten to give updates yet, feel free to hop in.
I could say something from the Adirondack Garden Club if you want. So as I say, we've been working in collaboration with Champlain Area Trails on an ecological restoration project at the Essex Quarry Nature Preserve in Essex, New York. And we've removed invasives from a 2-acre area using various non-chemical methods. The primary method involves cutting down trees and shrubs and covering the stumps with buckthorn baggies. To date, we've applied more than 400 baggies and have found that 50% of the stumps are dead after 1 year and 90% are dead after 2 years. And we've also been using girdling and uprooting to kill the invasives. We've worked a lot on promoting the growth of native plants. We collect the seeds from more than 40 species of native wildflowers and sedges at the preserve, and we've been careful not to bring in any seeds or plants from elsewhere. We propagate the seeds by sowing them in milk jugs in January and leaving the jugs out in the cold. After the seeds germinate, we plant the seedlings at the quarry where the invasives have been removed. And the types of plants include goldenrods, asters, Joe Pye weed, thimbleweed, yarrow, etc. More than 90% of our milk jugs have germinated, but we are still working on a way to collect data on the survival of the seedlings after we've planted them. And we've been entering our data in IMAP invasives and iNaturalist, and we've just started monitoring with the forest pest hunters, monitoring hemlock woolly adelgid. But it's been so cold and not very amenable to being outdoors that we haven't done too much yet. But we hope to continue our project for another 3 years and cover a larger acreage.
Thank you for the update. Yeah, I think it's when we were talking about our graphs for tier 4 species and these widespread species. It's such important work to be doing, and really like from theoretical to on the ground, like those buckthorn baggies, that is impressive data. It doesn't have to be chemical control. This sounds like a really effective way for controlling buckthorn, which if folks don't know are a pretty vigorous resprouting tree when cut. So really exciting to hear about that project. Anybody else want to give updates about how their year is going? What's ahead?
I can give an update for Warren County Soil and Water. So in 2025, we had our second year of our invasive species harvest with the Crandall Park Beautification Committee, which granted is outside of APIPP's territory. But over 3 removal days, we had 63 volunteers and an estimated 378 volunteer hours. So we've managed 8 of the 35 acres of Crandall Park. We also work with the Glens Falls Tree Commission, assisting with recommendations for tree removal and replacement species. And then in 2025, we also worked with the Capital Region PRISM to identify and map terrestrial invasive species on the Glens Falls watershed properties. We received a grant from Lake Champlain Basin program to do a conservation maintenance plan for the Glens Falls watershed properties. In the PRISM, we also worked with the SUNY ESF Adirondack Forest Properties crew to do 2 deer exposures at Pack Forest. So we're looking at the effects of deer browse on regeneration. Both of those fences were covered a quarter of an acre. In one of them, primary species were northern red oak, sugar maple, eastern hemlock, and leatherwood. And in the second one, the primary species were red oak, sugar maple, eastern hemlock, hop hornbeam, white pine, and red maple. And in the second exposure, we did some beech removal. I'll also mention that Pack Forest is working on a 128-acre silviculture demonstration to showcase practical examples of adaptive management in a hemlock hardwood stand, a pine hemlock stand, and a northern hardwood stand. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Some incredible projects. Thank you for sharing all that. I will be in touch. I need to get down to that Pack experimental forest. Sounds like they're putting some very interesting silvicultural studies into action. Pretty cool. Anyone else want to give updates?
Hey Ari, I'll jump in from Ausable Freshwater Center. Great. So we won a grant to host our River Steward for another year. And while the River Steward is primarily speaking with anglers about aquatic invasive species and cleaning their wading boots and fishing gear, they spend the other half of their time, monitoring the river corridor for terrestrial invasive species. We've got them, maintaining both wading boot brush stations and hiking boot brush stations at trailheads across the region, and maintaining those by vacuuming up all the seeds and dirt that gathers around them when people use the hiking boots brush stations, and we'll be putting out a few more of those in the area this year as well. And they are patrolling and pulling invasives by hand throughout the region, bringing volunteers in where possible. Uh, the a new project that we're sort of launching is, by combining the strengths of our biodiverse habitats program and our Ausable Conservation Nursery, we're building out a riparian ecosystem recovery team with the goal of extending our capacity to pursue planting projects and, in both combining invasives management and native species restoration across this region. The first big project we'll be tackling is a 10-acre restoration on two sides of the Ausable River in the town of Jay on two different properties where there's large understory trees. Some of them are ash trees, so we really want to get some replacement canopy trees into this habitat. And we'll be tackling the removal of some legacy invasives like buckthorn and honeysuckle and bittersweet in the understory there. So we're hoping to do that, following in the footsteps of the Adirondack Garden Club by doing that mostly mechanically and without pesticides wherever possible. And replanting with replacement canopy trees and native understory shrubs. We'll be looking for volunteers to help out with all aspects of that project. So folks should stay tuned to our website or sign up for our newsletter. And then just to finish up, the Ausable Conservation Nursery is gearing up for another big season. We're out collecting plant material now to start propagating this spring, and we continue to collect native seeds from across this region. We're hoping to host another plant sale this spring, probably in collaboration with ADK Action's pollinator plant sale. But as I said, stay tuned. I'll throw my contact info in the notes if anyone wants to reach out about a project or getting involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Excited to hear about how the season went and where it's going. Really appreciate a lot of those reports of invasives along the different branches of the Ausable. That's totally an example of APIPP can't be everywhere every season, but getting partner reports of where these plants are incredibly important for having a swift response. So among all those projects, thank you. Anyone else want to give an update?
Larry, this is I don't have an update, but I have a question, maybe for the New York State folks. One of our members has reported a plot of garlic mustard, maybe 30 feet by 30, pretty dense, on state land. What's the remedy? Can we just go hand pull that, or are we going to go to jail, or what do we do?
Let's talk more. There's definitely a proper way where we could get that in a work plan if needed. But yeah, I'm not sure what the best response is. Let's talk before you go out there and just pull it. I don't think we can be removing vegetation from state land. But there is a rapid response process that we could try to pursue.
Okay, that's why I asked the question.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to bring it into just any discussion or things that things to celebrate or things where people need help. I personally, I'm really excited to share that annual report, both because it was a huge lift from the team. So it's great to get a quality report out to everyone and be done with it so we can move on to planning for the year. I'm also really excited for these upcoming Forest Pest Hunters events. With the Forest Pest Hunter program, like Bill was saying, you can go out and I agree the weather is maybe not the best every day, especially when we're in our -20s, but it's starting to look like better for HWA surveying and not as good for skiing with these temps in the 40s next week. So I'm really excited to share some events where you can join me, join the APIPP team and different partners, learn about HWA, and then practice surveying together. It's a Friday, March 6th. That's the event that we've got up on our website with cats in Westport, New York. There's another one that is going to be announced once we get this final details in Bolton Landing in mid-March. And then I'm also going to be speaking at the Peru Free Library Community Series on Tuesday, March 24th. So as always, be in touch about these events. Hope to see some of you there. And these are the sort of things that I hope to co-host with partners throughout the season. So definitely be in touch to plan doing this moving forward. Allison, you had a question?
Oh, well, yeah, if we wanted to talk about, projects planned for 2026 and, ways that we can collaborate, something that my crew has been running into quite a lot in Lake George is that some of these priority hemlock areas, which the Lake George Hemlock Coalition has designated as being, our priorities for hemlock woolly adelgid survey and management, we are running into quite a lot of private property, because basically I kind of went for the low-hanging fruit of getting all the PHAs on state land done early. And so I guess I sort of just wanted to put it out there that if any partners here have any kind of private property around Lake George, and there's hemlock, it would be really awesome if my crew could have access to those areas for HWA survey. So I'll just put my email in the chat. And, if your organization or you as an individual have some private property around Lake George, I can see how it intersects with the priority hemlock areas that have been designated. And if there's some overlap, my crew might be able to get out there and do some surveying.
Yeah,
That's it.
100%. 100%. Because it is tricky. I alluded to it earlier. These species don't really know whose land they're on. I guess something I wanted to bring into the discussion in terms of like where we're finding this HWA. The priority map's mostly based on proximity to where we know it is, but it certainly seems like there's a correlation to lower elevations along shorelines. And so certainly like no trespassing, but if you have permissions to be on properties other than state lands, feel free to survey for HWA. That information is incredibly important. So the Adopt a Trail map are ideas for publicly accessible lands, and that's a great resource. But there's other hemlocks, if you have permission to do surveys, feel free elsewhere. And in terms of coordinating, like when HWA pops up in a new neighborhood, we have a lot of resources, like George Watershed, and that could be used elsewhere in terms of what are the best responses. And Sean, APIPP communications manager, and myself, feel free to reach out to APIPP, and we're happy to help with talking points and messaging. I know like Ev has been great with that in terms of like the Scroon Lake Association newsletters that go out. Happy to work with Paradox Lake if there's newsletters going out in terms of raising awareness so folks are able to look around their own properties and report. And yeah, I think that's a great example of us all working together in partnership where it's messaging from neighbors versus just messaging from a screen. All important. But getting folks locally on the ground is something I really enjoy doing and want to grow those partnerships where I can. And a plug for Sean. If you like these outreach materials, they're for you. So feel free to get in touch. Brian?
Hey everybody, just wanted to mention a couple things. Saw that Teresa in the chat talked about the Warren County funding opportunity. So it's always great if you can partner with local soil and water conservation districts. They're an incredible resource. Sometimes they have funding. APIPP wrote a lot of letters of support for partners and organizations who were submitting grant applications, both to the DEC Invasive Species Grant. We are heard that people would hopefully start to hear responses back from that in the next couple weeks, so that hopefully people get good news about that. And then also, we also wrote a lot of letters of support for people applying for Lake Champlain Basin program funding. So hopefully they will hear that. I also want to put in a plug. There are some upcoming events and conferences. The annual conference on the Adirondacks as part of the Adirondack Resource Consortium will happen in Lake Placid on April 15th and 16th. I will be leading a panel discussing invasive species in the Adirondacks. And so I think with some other regional experts, I think that would be a great event if people are interested. I'll put the link to the conference in the chat once I'm done. And then also just a heads up, our spring partner meeting will be in the first week in May, and it will be with the St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Council up in Akwesasne. We're going to be showing off the great work that they are doing around emerald ash borer and protecting ash trees. We'll also have a log pounding event there. So we really hope that people will be able to come up and take part in that event in the first week in May.
Awesome. Appreciate those updates. Am I missing anybody else with updates? I want to make sure I give everybody a chance to share their successes and goals.
Or if people have questions about specific species or things going on, this is a time we can also chat about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the next one you guys are worried about?
Well, I guess never say never with new things moving in. It was wild last year to see spotted lanternfly be sighted like alive in person in the Adirondacks. But I think it's also such an interesting, we have partners put out traps and have for years at like really high visitation points, like campground, boat launches, Lake George, Great Lake Sacandaga, up in Peru, etc. And none have been caught in the traps, but both times it's folks from more infested areas downstate or points west. And just that the messaging, in part because of these partners putting up traps and people asking about them, folks cited it right away. Oh, you're from Pennsylvania? The boat steward supervisor, Ben, honed in on it and then killed it before we even got a picture of it. So documentation is important, but ultimately it's like these introductions really can be, at least at this hyper-local scale, intercepted. So that gives me hope. But yeah, driving northward in Clinton County, I think Brittany can attest where we are on the front lines of seeing the damage associated with like emerald ash borer mortality. I think tracking those changes over time is probably most significant in terms of, well, what's going to happen and where are we going? I think about beach leaf disease around Lake George and like knowing what those changes are going to look like from season to season, both of like the invasive, the health of the tree, and the health of the overall forest is going to be incredibly important. And not so much species by species, but like preserving can we get, like hydrological functions? Are these forests going to preserve water quality, mast in terms of like wildlife forage for beach? So I think that in terms of the forest pests outside of this region that I see moving in, never say never, but I think what we've experienced recently is more absorbing what is already present around versus like the Asian longhorn beetle or something that's like a brand new invader. We're certainly keeping an eye out, but what I see in the immediate future is more responding to these forest pests as they become more established in the region. Hopefully that's helpful.
Okay.
With questions about specific species, I haven't had an opportunity to read the annual report yet. I plan on doing that after the call, but I was just curious, what's the status of the giant hogweed infestation that you guys are having?
That's one where I'm so happy that most of the reports I get are falsely identified close relatives, like cow parsnip. In the Adirondacks, there's not a lot of actively managed giant hogweed sites, simply because most of them are historic and deemed eradicated. So we're going to continue to monitor. I think there's 16 total sites within the Adirondack Park. One is under active surveillance and one is under active management. But we are certainly assisting to points west. In the St. Lawrence area, Remsen, Ford's Port, Boonville, so just west of Old Forge, say, north of Utica. That's where there's these historic populations that are in the thousands. So we are assisting partners to our west in the St. Lawrence Eastern Ontario PRISM to make sure that that progress moves forward and that it doesn't spread via, like, say, waterways into the Adirondack Park.
Okay, awesome. That's really encouraging. Thank you.
Yep.
Ari, one of the things that I've been seeing on occasion, you mentioned beech leaf disease, and I am finding it out and around even in the winter months. I mean, there's a lot of beech trees that hold their leaves during the winter, and it almost seems like about every other time I'm out looking for HWA, I stumble on some. So I do enter it in whenever I do, but it's sad, it just keeps on popping up like we've been saying. So
Yeah, it's sad to see it spread, but I guess to like give us some hope, these beech have been up against a lot for many generations, like with beech bark disease. I don't think it's going to be an overnight change. Like it's sad to see it spreading for sure, but the defoliation is more of a gradual process than, say, ash, where these larvae are, the proverbial jugular as they're moving through that cambium layer and disrupting nutrient flow. That's pretty irreversible. So like when Teresa was talking about these experiments, I mean, they're on the ground like projects going on at Pack Experimental Forest. I think some of these things, it's changes are certainly afoot, but I don't, and truly hope, but don't think that it's the extirpation of these species. Thank goodness, because yeah, I think the more we look around, according to Bill, and I believe you, even in the winter time, you can see the banding on the desiccated beech leaves. Wild. Well, how can we work together to get this stuff done? um, I think we're doing it. I feel so privileged to work with all of you. And thank you for so many of you for chiming into this meeting. I think keeping these conversations going is incredibly important. Thank you, Brian, for talking about the spring partner meeting, new location. I'm really looking forward to that. All of these meetings are recorded, so I will be taking detailed notes of this recording. You can watch it on YouTube, but I'll email notes over to everybody that's in this meeting. And yeah, please keep the conversation going. In terms of how to work together, I guess I'll probably coordinate with folks independently. Like I am really heartened to see both the spotted lanternfly traps that I already talked about managed by partners, and like we're not catching them, but I think they are still impactful. With emerald ash borer traps, when I started spring 2024, I wasn't aware that there were county level folks doing emerald ash borer traps. So I think let's coordinate those efforts with APIPP, with the state, with the counties. So I'll follow up there. That seems like a great place to coordinate with those agencies to make sure that we're not being duplicative and that we're selecting the best sites. But with emerald ash borer, like traps are only as good as the bugs that fly into that particular trap. So that's where we don't have a dedicated forest pest hunter season for something like emerald ash borer or invasive plants for that matter. But IMAP invasives, we value any of those reports. Feel free to keep an eye out for emerald ash borer damage. And that's something that I'll be messaging throughout the year as well.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any experience working with county and town highway departments in terms of developing roadside mowing schedules to reduce the spread of invasives?
I want to let other people chime in, but yeah, certainly for wild parsnip, more of an informal thing, but make sure that you're mowing your wild parsnip before it goes to seed. And I don't have like a formal protocol per se, but I do think that timing, if it can be coordinated at like a local or regional level, that's the difference between suppressing the population and spreading it based on the phenology.
Linda, I know with New York State DOT, some of the notes that I have here is that with mowing practices, we typically in the Adirondack Park do a single pass to avoid rutting and scalping on sand slopes and then limiting exposed soils, and then which lead to establishment of terrestrial invasives. If you want to give me an email, I'll throw my email in the chat again, and I might be able to give you a more if you reword that question to me in email form, I can get you a more clear answer or maybe more details on that.
That's great. Thank you. I will do that.
And Linda, I'll just say, like in general, like it's a good example of just forming good relationships with your local county, uh, so your county public works or your local like town or municipality public works staff. Some of these things are like species specific or location specific, so it's a little bit hard to give like a blanket, you should cut on June 1st, kind of thing, because we're usually trying to do different species. But many communities have been very proactive and have had a good track record working with their local public works or towns and roads committees and trying to, identify areas where they can do things. And I think at that local level is an area where we can, see a lot of success.
Thank you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Brian. And more of a long-term general goal is just like capacity building for like folks to do that control in the region, whether it's like the municipalities themselves or maybe hiring out contractors. So that's just another resource that's not necessarily like in our outreach materials, but on the APIPP website, we've got a contractor list for terrestrial control and updated that last winter. I think we're up to date, but if you're not on there, and reach out. I probably need to do another round of updates. But yeah, just capacity building for the region. I think Keith mentioned there's like I'm the only one in his office. I'm the only one in my office. So it takes all of us doing whether it's chemical or mechanical control. the more the merrier of doing, smart prioritized work, 100%. Yeah, I'm seeing Brian's comment. I think if anyone's got like interesting invasive stories they want to tell, we've got a good amount of reach. So like, I don't know if we are going to hear about it in the last minute, but please reach out. I'm excited to partnering, whether it's you sending messages towards your local communities or highlighting your successes to the broader region. So yes, let's be in touch, whether it's projects on the ground or messages or initiative at large. As I see Tim pop up there. Hey.
I was just going to say, if anybody's got good stories, I'll put my email in the chat. And the Adirondack Explorer is always looking for stuff like that. I've noticed that it's kind of like the Romans and the Huns. When the species were at some distance away, we didn't generate a lot of interest. But now that you see the boars coming down from the north and the adelgid coming up from the south, and it's getting closer to the central part of the park, there's been a lot more interest among the readership. So, what may have been a niche before is certainly very mainstream now.
Tim, I'll make sure you're on our press release list too. I think you might be, but I'll double check and make sure you're on that. This is Sean Kittle. I'm the communications manager for APIPP.
Thanks, Sean. I think I am, but never hurts to check.
Cool. Yeah, I'll double check it. It changes a lot. A lot of people come and go, so I like to refresh it every couple months. So I'll take a look.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining. I don't want to cut anyone off. If anyone has anything else to add, please feel free. But otherwise, I'm going to be watching this recording and giving everybody notes of what happened. I thought it was a great meeting and really look forward to continuing our work together going into this calendar year. There's no way that we could make the impact that we do without all doing it together. So thank you so much. It's really appreciated. All right.
Thank
Everybody
you.
be well. No problem.